Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hogue, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
I'm AJ Hogue, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. Join my VIP program. Join my VIP program. You get new lessons every month. You will speak English fluently. You will speak powerfully. You will speak confidently. You will speak English effortlessly when you commit to my VIP program. Commit, don't quit at effortlessenglishclub.com. Of course, you get that movie course, free, extra bonus, only for VIP members, but you must join my VIP program now at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. All right, today I'm going to go through my Gab account and answer questions and comments from Gab, because I've been very busy with my babies. I'll talk more about that, but I have not been active on social media. As you know, I have not been active with the podcast, so let's catch up on some things. And I think it's just easier for me to answer the Gab messages I have gotten. Just do it now by video. I can talk more about it. I can give better answers. There are a few questions on Gab that are require a longer answer. So first of all, hey everybody, good to see you. We're joining live. Thanks for joining. Ilana Khan, good to see you. Asukar, etc. How we doing? We got plenty of people joining. Yep, we're good. All right, let's get into it. First of all, we have a comment from Slavika. She says, thanks for the book club today, talking about the last book club on the weekend. Chapter 5 of The Hobbit is very important for the continuation of this great series of books. Bilbo finds the ring and we meet Gollum. Gollum and the ring are connected. Bilbo will be a great ring keeper because of his qualities. Chapter 5 is an introduction to The Lord of the Rings. This is why The Hobbit is an important and wonderful book for anyone who loves adventure and can see things in the right way. Indeed, right? So good points. That chapter 5 is really the introduction for Lord of the Rings. I like the way Tolkien did this. The Hobbit is a very light-hearted introduction to the Lord of the Rings. The rest of the Lord of the Rings is a more serious story, more serious tone to the story, and the Hobbit's kind of a light introduction. And in the Hobbit, we kind of we only know what Bilbo knows, right? So Bilbo doesn't realize the power of the ring or any of that, so we don't realize it when you're just reading it. And Slavika, she has another nice comment about my babies, which I'll mention in a minute. Okay, next from Huang says, good morning, coach. 2 + 2 can only equal 4 and cannot equal 5 because that is the truth, right? Well, it's the rules of mathematics. It is the truth, yes. Right? If you have 2 objects and you add 2 more objects, now you have 4 objects. That's always the case. 2 + 2 does not equal 5, does not equal 11. But it looks like there's only one truth. How is it different from one right answer mentality? Well, I think it's clear. You got to understand that truth is truth. What is true is true. Reality is reality. Sometimes there's only one, right? 2 + 2 is 4. 2 objects plus 2 objects equals 4 objects. That's the truth. It doesn't equal 5. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't matter what people think about it. It's the truth, and there's one truth. And indeed, there is one right answer. 2 + 2 equals 4. There's only one right answer. Sometimes in life, in some things, especially mathematics, there is only one right answer. But of course, obviously, in much of life, especially in the realm, the area of human activities, there are many possible answers. There are many possible solutions to problems, not just one, right? So we have to be flexible in our thinking. Be flexible in your thinking. Okay, truth is truth. That's it. But let's say, the answer, what is a job that will make you happy? Obviously, there's not just one right answer to that question, right? There are many possibilities. It's not really a factual question. It's a question of your preferences, your opinions, your experience. The answer might change different times in your life. There are probably many different kinds of jobs that you could enjoy and many that you won't enjoy. So this is a case where there are many possibilities. And in most things in life, most things in human life, there are many possibilities. So you just have to, sometimes there's one right answer, and, there's good and there's evil. Some actions are evil. They're always evil. They're always bad. Some actions, it's not clear. Some, it depends on the situation, right? So we just have to be flexible in our thinking and be mature in our thinking. Okay, now here's a nice long one. I'm going to read this one because this is an interesting one about the question of babies and reading. I've seen your How to Teach Babies to Read video. Actually, why have you changed your mind about the best age to learn reading? Because now I realize that I was wrong. You can teach younger children. The method you demonstrated is quite similar to Doman method. It is inspired. Yeah, I was talking about the Doman method. It's pretty old, yes, but old is good, guys. This idea that new is good is bullshit. New is usually not good. Old and tested is better, usually. It's a nice rule of thumb. It's a nice general guideline. I found some old sites on the internet, but some seem to be abandoned because of bad results. Well, that's an assumption. I don't think that's the case. It's domaninternational.com if you want to check it out. We've been trying with our daughter for about 1.5 years with more or less intensity. Well, she's 2 years old soon. But after 1.5 years, our motivation goes down. She's hardly can say anything, so cannot give feedback. Well, of course. I feel it hard to keep motivation high. I think we'll fail. Why do you think the method works? Okay, so there's a number of problems here. Number one, this person, Pocket Snaker, you're focused on performance. This is not about performance, okay? I've tried to say this many, many times. This is true for reading with children, and it's also true when you're trying to teach them English. You do not focus on performance, okay? Let me say it again. Do not focus on performance. No pressure on the child. None, okay? With reading, you do not pressure them to read out loud. Also, for yourself, don't pressure yourself. Don't let your motivation drop. Oh, they're not reading out loud. How do I know it's working? Okay? Just relax. They're 2.5 years old. Okay, she's only 2 years old. Of course not. She can hardly talk. Relax, okay? It's just input. You're stimulating her brain. If we're talking about children in general, you're stimulating their brains, okay? It's just input. Okay, it's the same with language. It's also the same in your own language, your native language, okay? Some children, even at 2 years old, they're not going to be talking much. Some will talk a lot more. Of course, they should be talking in general, but some talk faster and sooner, others less, okay? Don't worry about the talking. The talking will come. If you're teaching your child English, okay, no pressure. Okay, do not pressure your child to speak. Do not try to, can you say this? Can you say this? No pressure to talk. Don't try to get them to perform at all, okay? It destroys the enjoyment. It's unnatural. It creates stress. It's an adult mentality. And adults are not as good at learning language as children. Children are better. So trust your child, okay? So if you're teaching your child English, just talk to them in English, play games in English, read books in English. You can do action games. You can do all kinds of fun stuff in English, but do not try to pressure them to speak. If they're not speaking, don't worry about it, okay? It'll happen. It will happen. Just relax. You're stimulating their brain. It will happen. Trust the process. Let them talk when they want to and only when they want to. And with reading, let them read out loud when they're ready, when they want to. And, maybe they're not understanding a lot yet. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. They will, okay? By 2 years old, man, no pressure, okay? No pressure at all. The second thing with the reading, you're saying you're doing it intensity. You don't want intensity with these. Okay? No, it should be the amount of time you spend on this reading program. This is the exact Doman method, by the way, is probably 5 minutes a day. Certainly the flashcard part I talked about, it's 60 seconds total per day. 60 seconds. That's all. No more. You're not doing flashcards constantly, stressing them out. Okay? It's no fun. You do 5 seconds at a time. You have 5 cards. You show each card for 1 second only. Show it and say it. Show it, say it, show it, say it, show it, say it, show it, say it. Put it away. Take a break. Come back in an hour and do it again with new cards. The total time for the flashcards in one day is, I'm not exaggerating, it's 60 seconds. That's all, not more. Okay? The focus should be on mostly you're reading to them. You're reading books to them a lot. You're making the homemade books. My babies love these homemade books. I now have 2 homemade books. My babies are 11 months old. They love them. They're so interested because I'm talking. So I know they understand something because they understand that the book is about them, right? There's one book for my girl and one book for my boy. They understand it's about them and about our family because they're much more interested in the homemade books compared to the commercial books. There are a few commercial books they like. The colors are very nice. But in general, I'd say they're much, much, much more curious about the homemade books, and they want to read them. They want to look at the pictures. They get very excited about them. So I use these little simple homemade books. We read those books every day. I'm going to make more. And then I do some flashcards using some of the same words from the books. I'm not testing them in any way. I don't know how much they understand. I have no idea with the flashcards. I don't know which words they know. I don't know which ones they don't know. It doesn't matter at this age. It doesn't matter, okay? It's the same, actually, for their speaking. I kind of have an idea that they know some words of English that I'm talking to them with. But other words I use a lot, I don't know. Like I've taught them cup. I've showed them cup. I've probably said cup a couple hundred times to them. Do they understand the word cup? I'm not sure yet. Doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. I just keep talking about everything in the apartment, everything outside. I just keep showing them things, talking. I do actions. I say stand up, and then I stand up. I say sit down, and I sit down. At this age, I don't ask them to do anything, really. I'm not putting any pressure on them to perform at all. But I know they're understanding more. I can tell that some words they do understand. But you have to realize some words they will understand very well. And then there are other words they're kind of so-so. In other words, not really, maybe a little. In other words, not at all. It's all normal. Just like you have the same experience, right, in English. So just freaking relax with the little kids, okay? There's no pressure there's no intensity. Intensity is a bad word to use with kids. It's not intensity you want, it's fun. It's fun and enthusiasm, okay? The main thing, the number one with little babies, is you're getting them excited about words and books. That's the number one thing you can do. Just get them excited that books are interesting and fun, that words are interesting and fun. Okay, that's the main goal. It doesn't matter if they learn 10% of the words or 100%. It doesn't matter. If you keep going, you're starting at such an early age, you're stimulating their brain so much, even if they only learn 10%. So what? That's still fantastic. That's if you're doing this at a young age, after a few years, they're still going to learn a lot of words. Their brain, the language areas of the brain are getting stimulated and growing very quick. It's fantastic, okay? So trust the process and just relax. It's just for fun. Okay. All right, going back. Next question. Okay, I'm just reading some questions and comments on my Gab account, and then I'll come back and I'll do your live questions. I know some of you are asking questions live. I'm not ignoring you. Just give me a minute to go through my social media account. Okay, Huang always has interesting questions. I found your Effortless English show a time for everything. I found it interesting. I would like to ask you, is there a time to obey and a time to disobey? And when? When to expect the answer and when not to? Well, this is the value of, the cardinal value of judgment or discernment. Plato described, the Catholic Church described, many philosophers have described. Indeed, this is the hard part. When? When do you obey? When do you not obey? Well, you obey someone who is, when you realize they're telling you something that is healthy and good, when you trust them, when you know what they're telling you to do is the right thing, that's when you obey. And of course, when the opposite is true, when you don't trust them, when they're not a good person, when they're telling you something that you're sure is bad, then you disobey. You don't obey. Okay? So so the hard part is figuring that out, who to trust, and you have to watch their actions. It takes some time to understand, to know, can you trust someone or not, right? To what is good advice, what's not good advice, right? This is why it's important to study the old ways and to study the old virtues. This is important. This is how you figure out. But yeah, sometimes it's hard for all of us. Can you explain the Japanese word ikigai? Okay, Cleefy's asking me a Japanese question, which probably is not so good because my Japanese isn't great. A reason for being, purpose. I'm going to have to skip that question. Cleefy says, can you explain the Japanese word ikigai, which means like a purpose of life? I'll have to ask my wife about it and do some more research about that. Okay. Am says, what do you think about the book 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma? I've not read it, so I don't know. Okay. A few people just saying how I've been busy and they're staying active on Gab, Maria and Carol and Ibrahim Ali. So I thank you guys for being active on Gab and continuing to, be helpful to each other while I've been busy. So thank you, Maria. Okay, now there's a very nice comment I want to read about from Slavika. Okay, Flavika says, hi, Jay. From the video you sent members on your YouTube channel, I saw there's a health problem with one of your babies. Yes. And she says, when my daughter was 9 months old, she had febrile convulsions. Febrile meaning from a fever. The doctor told me she had brain damage. My daughter has grown. Her brain and nerves have matured. She's now completely healthy. She's a software engineer. Nice. I wrote this from my heart. Your baby will be fine. It takes time. Lots of love for you. Thank you, Slavika. Yes, indeed. One of our babies has a serious health problem. This is why I've been so busy, why my shows I'm taking a course right now on some different therapies to use with him. And I'm quite busy trying to learn this stuff and then do it with him. However, the good news is we are seeing some improvements already. And I've only been doing a little bit. We're going to start the full program soon. So feeling much better about it. Just there's a lot of things that we can do. Anyone who has by the way, any of you who have children who have, problems, even if it's something like autism or cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, anything like this, brain type issues, there's a lot of hope, actually. There's a lot you can do. So I would say check out Doman International, Doman international.com, I believe it is, domaninternational.com. Really great stuff there. And I'm sure there's other things out there too. But, don't lose hope. Don't believe the doctors. The doctors might say it's hopeless. They're wrong, as they often are. So, yeah, thank you. And Slavika, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Don't worry. We're going to be okay. He's going to be okay. And Ilya also had a very nice comment here. I want to read Ilya's comment, also connected, similar about my baby's health. I'm Ilya from Belarus. In your last show, I heard your baby was born early with small weight. That's why he has some health issues. Yes. I had the same situation with my son. First month of his life, he spent in, reanimation and perinatal department. Yeah, our baby was 3 months in the hospital. The first 3 months we could visit, but he was in the hospital. He lived in the hospital for 3 months. Anyway, Ilya says, I decided to share some things from my experience that helped our son's recovery. Great. Number 1, massage, several courses, including body, head, face, and tongue. Nice. We'll start doing that. Everyday swimming at home. This is really cool. And visiting a pool, gradual water temperature reduction from 36 down to 29 or 30 Celsius. Short-term diving activates the brain. Very interesting. Very interesting. I know that there is some, I've recently read about some research about, that cold actually helps the brain. And the swimming, I'm going to investigate this more so thank you, Ilya. I'm definitely looking into this. Gymnastics, exercise on a fitball. Good. Visit an osteopath. Nice. Supplements. We're doing some of this already. Amino acids, L-carnitine, omega-3s, great for the brain. Chlorophyll, detox. Calcium, magnesium in a chelate form, which is absorb better. Lecithin, we're doing that already. After consultation with neurologists, nutritionists, etc. We're doing many of these, Ilya. Thank you very much. And we're looking into more. For several months after birth, we hadn't vaccinated. We also similar. Then we got one, and we got immune troubles for a long time. We have not done more. Yeah, vaccines have some chemicals in them, can be a problem. We're dealing with that. We're doing some vaccines, but we're doing some other things to avoid the side effects. Now, this one's really cool. Dolphin therapy helps children with serious issues and useful for overall development. Swimming with dolphins. This is so cool. They're swimming around with the dolphins. This is super cool. So I'm gonna have to read up on that, but it looks really nice. And then sports are a high sports, physical activity. This is very cool because it's important that physical activity is very important for our brains. It's not just adults for kids. This is why in schools it's so stupid. Like American schools, they are stopping or they're reducing the physical activity. It's called physical education, and also recess, play outdoors. They've eliminated it or reduced it a lot in American schools. Other schools around the world also. So stupid. So stupid because physical development helps brain development, especially in small children and children in general, and also in adults, to be honest. So it's an incredibly stupid thing. You want your kids to be moving and a wide variety of movements. You want them to be crawling around on the ground all the time, even when they can walk already. The crawling really helps the brain develop. You want them running and walking, of course. You want them hanging and climbing and all of that stuff constantly, all the time, every day. So this whole thing in school of sitting on their butts all day is terrible for all kids. And then Ilya says, I agree with you that jiu-jitsu or judo is a good choice. I did judo for 10 years and have almost never been sick. Yeah, jiu-jitsu and judo are wonderful. Develops the body, thinking, exactly. It's judo and jiu-jitsu, very strategic. Just all around great. And you can start at the age of 4 in my country. First year, they don't even wear the kimono. They just play, do some exercises. Yeah, there's this cool thing. The Gracie, two of the Gracie brothers have something called, what do they call it? Bully proof, I think. Anyway, they've got something called Gracie games, and it's just these kind of physical games for very small children, but it starts to teach them some of the basic movements of jiu-jitsu. They're not learning. Some jiu-jitsu can be a little complicated, especially for little kids, but they start learning the basic movements first, and then, of course, as they get older, they can learn the full techniques. So it's very cool. Ilya, I just want to say thank you for all of this. I appreciate it, and I am investigating some of these things. We're already doing some of these things. Very, very great. Thank you so much. Very nice. And thank you to all of you who've just sent nice comments for my baby. Okay, here's another one. Ong says, I want to be great at English, especially reading. I'm very fluent in English speaking. Great. I'm not able to read English books. I know the problem is not knowing a lot of vocab. Indeed. Now I'm going through the dip. Just keep reading. Try to find easier books in the beginning. Keep going. Keep going. All right. Good Lord. This is annoying. Sorry, guys. Got to deal with the comment. I'm going to go to the live comments now in a second. I'm not able to read English books. I know the problem is not knowing a lot of vocab. Indeed. Now I'm going through the dip. Just keep reading. Try to find easier books in the beginning. Sorry, got to keep going. Mute. There we go. All right. I think that's all for our social media comments. I'll go to your live comments now. Oh, one more thing. Actually, I want to show this. Someone was asking about this great book I recommend for discipline. And this is for parents and this is for teachers, both. Anyone who deals with kids. And here's a picture of the cover if you're watching on video. The writer is Fred Jones. And it's Tools for Teaching. Tools for Teaching. I always forget if it's teachers or teaching. It's teaching. Tools for Teaching. But this is also really, really, really good. Many of the ideas will work for parents too. Tools for Teaching. All right, let's get into our live questions and comments. And then I got to go. Okay, now this is challenging. Sukrat says, nowadays online learning has become more popular. Yeah. I want to ask you, what makes a great online teacher? How can we make classes more interesting for our kids? So there's really two parts of the question. In general, what makes a good online teacher? I'd say it's the same thing that makes a good face-to-face teacher, right? You need to have some energy and enthusiasm, right? There's to hold attention, make the subject interesting. That's especially true for kids. Now, online for kids is challenging. It's harder for kids to learn online, I'd say. A lot of kids' programs will use games and animation and videos and these kind of things to hold their attention because young kids generally don't want to sit and watch somebody just talk and talk and talk. So that's usually with younger kids, if you're talking online, it's better to turn it into some kind of like a game or a song or activities and things like that that seem more like entertainment. Of course, face-to-face is a little easier with kids to teach kids. So it is a bit challenging. This is why I don't have an online program yet for kids because it's more challenging to teach kids online. Adults are easier to teach online. So, and generally love your students, care about them. Those are the main things. Pablo's reading Fred Jones' book now. Fred Jones' book, great book. Reading it now, thanks. Good. Yeah, it is. It's very good. Very, very, very good. Helped me a lot. Discipline used to be, with teaching kids, that's the thing that was always the hardest, and that book really, really helped. It will save your life if you're dealing with kids. AJ, what do you think about living outside of the city? Yeah, I like it. We're thinking of moving out ourselves, getting out towards nature more. Rustlin says honey massage is good for blood circulation. Interesting. I've never heard of that. I'll check it out. Rafiko says, my niece is 5 years old. Sometimes she cries a lot. Oh, 5 months. Oh, yeah, definitely. They're going to cry a lot. I get angry, but then I become cool because I just love her. Yeah, well, the thing about crying babies, for the first few months, I was, every time. And eventually you get used to it and it doesn't bother you quite as much because you're just hearing it constantly all the time. And, they have different cries. This is the other thing that sometimes people without kids, they don't realize. But, their babies have their different cries. There's kind of like the basic cry that they're hungry. It's not such an emergency, right? You get used to it. It doesn't bother you so much. Or there's the cry they're annoyed or they're sleepy. And then there's the cry where there's actually something wrong, right? Like they fell down and they hurt themselves and you learn the difference. And so if you hear the bad cry, you run fast to help them. And the other cries, like some of you guys, sometimes when you guys hear the babies crying in the background during my show, some people say, oh my God, your baby's crying. And it's nothing. They're just grumpy. This is a very good question. Galia says, Al-Mahri says, is repetition useful for teaching children? Yes, but you have to keep the repetition interesting. Kids get bored more easily. So in general, kids, you want to do more variety. The repetition comes for them is that with kids is they will have their favorite stories, their favorite books, their favorite games. And so they'll want to like read the same book again and again and again and again, or play the same game again and again and again and again. And that in that way they get a lot of repetition. But you don't drill them, right? You're not drilling flashcards endlessly for them. They don't like that. So you follow the kid. You follow them. And if there's something they love, they want to repeat it a lot, then of course, repeat it a lot. If there's another book they don't seem interested in right now, then don't force them to repeat it again and again. If they seem bored, if their attention goes away, then just drop it and, follow what they're interested in. Follow that. Let them lead you in a way. What's your opinion, Edgardo says, about the Learn English While Sleeping videos? I don't really think it works that great. And plus, I don't want my sleep to be interrupted. So overall, I think it's better to be awake. You can try it. I don't know. I've never seen any effects of that kind of thing. Ruslan with a good point. It goes the other way. Can stimulating the brain affect physical development? Absolutely yes. Good point. That's right. And so that's why you want to go at both of them. So yes, stimulating the brain develops. It can actually improve some physical things. This is especially like with brain injured kids or kids who have problems that you want to also be stimulating them as much as possible mentally, intellectually. So that's kind of one of the primary reasons to start reading at a very young age, to do some of the really basic math stuff at a young age, to, in general, just stimulation, get them outdoors, seeing new things, hearing new sounds constantly all the time. This will help their physical development some, especially in the brain area. And then, of course, the other side, physical activity, tons of physical activity really, really, really helps their intellectual development. So they're not, this idea that they're separate, totally separate things is completely crazy. They help each other. So you need both. Don't neglect one. Can we see your homemade books? Yeah, next time I'll do it. I'll show you one of my homemade books. They're really simple. Simple, simple, simple. It's just like, baby eats. Baby is happy. Baby is sad. Baby walks. Right? That's like the level my babies are at. They're only 11 months old. And then there's a picture that goes with each sentence. That's all. That it's just 11 sentences. Most of my books now, 10 or 11 sentences with the picture. Okay, jump down here. Yeah, like Sriracha says, I love to teach children. It's so fun and lovely. Yeah, it can be a lot of fun. If once you learn how to do it, some people are just naturally good at it. I tend to think I've seen more women who are naturally good at it, maybe because they're mothers. But we can all learn how to do it, and it becomes fun when you're good at it. It can be stressful when you're not. When in the beginning, it could be stressful, but once you learn how to do it, it's fun. Oh, this is cool. Pablo says, my 6-year-old son started to use the shadowing technique after he saw me many times. I let him listen to a couple of your mini stories. I don't know if I will let him do it with headphones. Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to do headphones. Just let him do it out loud. It's great. See, and you're just following him. You're not forcing him to do it. He watches you do it, becomes curious. He starts doing it. So now you can just encourage that very gently as long as he wants to. It's a good idea. It's a great way to approach that, a great way to do it. And by the way, I'll do an update on our speaking challenge soon. I know a lot of you are still doing the speaking challenge. I've been away from the show for a while, but I'll do an update on the hours and we'll check back with the speaking challenge soon. So keep going with the speaking challenge. Good luck to you all. Lucy says, every time I come here, your baby's yelling stronger. So showing us how they're growing. Yeah, they're getting stronger. Do you think there's a plateau period in children's learning? Probably, I don't know, but there's definitely the silent period, or there's just a period where kids a lot of their time is they're absorbing things. They're better at this than adults. They don't pressure themselves to perform. They don't even think about it really, right? They learn just to learn. They're not doing it so they can pass a test or do some performance or show what they can do. So they're just curious and they're just sucking up all this knowledge and skill. And then eventually when they're confident enough, and they start to perform and they start to do it without really thinking about it. And so this is why it's very important, follow that natural way, because it's much better. It works better. So you just don't want to create any pressure of performance, no testing, nothing with kids. Just keep giving them as much stimulation and exposure as you can. All right, a couple more and then I got to go. Okay, Ken says, let's see. When our kids want to go to a party, we think it's not good for them. What could we do? I guess it depends on the age. Maybe you're talking about teenagers. You just, I'd say don't let them go. Just say no. Just say no. You can tell them why, but, I don't know the whole situation, but this is the thing, guys. This is a very modern idea, this idea that, like, the kids always have to be happy all the time. Okay, that so many parents are so worried about just saying no because the kids will be unhappy. You just say no sometimes, and sometimes they're not going to like it, and you say no because it's the right thing to do, and maybe they're not happy about it, maybe they're angry about it. Oh well, I can think back, certainly many times with my parents. They said no, and I was not happy about it. And of course, now as an adult, I can look back and I realize, oh, they were right. At the time, though, I want it. So, look, we got to just be the adults, guys. And sometimes that means we just say no. And it doesn't matter if they like it or not. And if you have a good relationship with your kid, they'll respect that. And, if you can communicate with them eventually, later or even in that moment, you can explain your reasons. They still might not like it, but sometimes they won't like your decisions. This idea that they always have to like what you decide and always be happy about it, and forget it. Just say no. No, I don't want you to go to the party. Why? Because alcohol, drugs, whatever. I don't like that group of people. So, no, you can't go. They're complaining and say, I don't care. You can't go. I've told you the reasons why. I care about you, and I know you're unhappy about it, but you can't go. That's it. Pretty simple. Lucy says, I thought focusing on education for our child would be good, but my daughter has very bad eyes. Check out Doman International, Lucy, because this is one of the major issues. That's exactly right. That sometimes the problem is not their brain with reading. It's that their eyes are not good enough to see the words clearly enough. And this creates a problem with them reading. It's not really a reading problem. It's more visual. And so there are activities, there are things you can do to improve their eyesight, which will then improve the reading. Okay, so that's actually a good point. That the same is true for listening ability. Sometimes their listening ability is not great. They're not developing language as well, or it seems like they're having problems. But it's not really it's not a language issue really. It's more that their ears are not so good and they need to work on their hearing. And again, there are activities and things you can do to help them. So if you have a child like this, check out domaninternational.com. There's actually some good stuff you can do about that. Good point. Okay, last one, and I got to go. Okay. Looking for the last question. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay, Al-Sukar says, I'm intermediate in speaking. Do grade books, I guess graded readers you're talking about, are they helpful for me if I read them? When can I start reading? You can start reading anytime from the beginning, especially as an adult. Just start reading now. Yes, graded readers are good. If you like them, read them. Read anything you like. Here's the deal with reading. Read what you like. That's the main rule. That's it. Read what you enjoy reading. If something's very difficult, if you like it though, you enjoy trying to get through it and learning all those words, and it's a challenge, but you're enjoying it, your motivation's high, you like it, then keep doing it. It's fine. If that frustrates you, then find something easier. If you enjoy reading comic books, read comic books. If you enjoyed reading nonfiction, read nonfiction. Whatever you like, just read. Your vocab will grow. It will eventually help listening and speaking as well. You don't have to wait for reading. In fact, you shouldn't wait. Just start reading as soon as you can. Speaking, you can wait a little bit, but reading and listening you can just do right from the beginning and continue doing all the time. This is also true in your own language. Just read as much as you can. Read what you like. Read what you enjoy. In your own language, you can eventually challenge yourself more and more with more difficult books. But the basic rule is just read as much as you can and read what you love. All right, Alex, yes, I know about permaculture, and I'll talk about it another time. All right, guys, time for me to go. Lots of love to all of you. As always, join my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. Get that movie course too, effortlessenglishclub.com. See you next time.